gamer Q&A panel. I don't know what the cues are going to be, but I guess we'll find out. So let's do a quick introduction going down the road. Hey everyone, Gaijin Kirube here. Woo! I'll just be nice. Okay, I do very different things than almost any other gaming YouTuber ever. I talk about and teach multiculturalism through video games and branching off into anime. I have another dumb show called Witch Ninja that is apparently everyone's favorite according to the walking around in this convention, which is very cool. Yeah, so I'm a culture guy.
I'm Lieutenant Eddie. Hello. Essentially, I play Overwatch, Hearthstone, Fortnite. I know those are kind of bandwagon games, but I swear I'm having fun with them.
His editing style is absolutely top notch. The walls are great. Also, he said you need to touch butts, so
yeah. I need more touch general anuses, but that's my backlog, so I'll figure that out.
Can we record that?
No. I want to monetize it on my own. So, that's about it. I just play games. So.
Okay, my name is Eduardo. I've been a YouTuber since 2010, doing it full time since 2012. Play a lot of games, mostly do Let's Plays, and love what I do. I was also in the Overwatch World Cup in 2016. I do like competitive games. Yeah. I do comment in Portuguese, so it's a little bit different probably, but yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I love to help people out, that's why I'm here.
So we actually have a spectrum going on right here. So, honestly, I don't have any questions. Do you guys have any questions? I mean, we just open up the floor.
I mean, I'm a gamer. It's more of a statement.
Gamer? Do you push F to pay respects?
No.
Good. I'd have to kill you.
I just don't tab.
So we'll go open the floor to questions. We have a microphone right up there if anyone has questions. Otherwise, we're going to sit here and waste time. And we're good at doing that. We're YouTubers. I love you, Eddie.
First one. Got this guy. News. And that's the point.
Quit being nervous. You got 3 idiots up here.
Oh God.
So this is a gamer Q&A, so I'll ask the important question. What is your favorite game?
Okay, you have to break that down to system or genre or something, because that's just brutal.
Currently, all time.
That's like asking what your favorite song is.
That's asking who my favorite child is.
First one. I guess like of all time, like your favorite game that you've played out of all.
That is hard.
That's easy for me. So I got Metal Gear Solid 3. I think I played that when I was 14 or something. I think I fell in love when I realized that you could swim in the water, punch the alligator, and then the alligator would get angry at you enough to do the death roll on you. I was like, whoa, I can't do that in any other game. I know it sounds dumb, but it was just like the small attention to detail, and it's all through. And I guess Resident Evil 3, got a big stalker man chasing you, it's spooky.
Scary.
It's too scary. That's all for me.
Growing up, I can throw this out here, at least when it comes to the NES era, probably my favorite NES game of all time would be Mega Man 5. Very underappreciated game. In my opinion, it does so many things that no other Mega Man actually has, because every other game kept to a formula. That game literally had you doing something drastically different every single stage, as well as the wily stages. I don't mean to be a big pooper and say that Mario 3 is one of my favorites, but unfortunately it's the inspiration behind my entire career, just based off that stupid Tanuki suit. So those are some of the big ones, but yeah, we've had like almost 30 years of gaming to go through at this point. It's hard to just say favorite. So
It's funny because usually people have these nostalgic games as their favorites, but I love Life is Strange. I think it's my favorite game ever just because the way it really touches your heart if you allow it to. But then I would say The Last of Us and Shadow of the Colossus are up there for me.
Yeah, Shadows. And I actually put that strange. But yeah, it's good.
You should.
appreciate your question.
I think you stole my question, so I'm going to ask, what's your most anticipated game for this year?
God of War was very unexpected. Honestly, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be really interesting to see.
It's Smash Ultimate for me because there's way more to that game than I expected it there to be.
I feel, what about you guys?
I don't think what happened at E3.
Because a lot of the games were announced for next year, right? Resident Evil Remake, Days Gone, things like that.
Yeah.
For
Last
this
of
year,
Us 2.
we don't even know when that's going on.
Oh, dude, can I just say that like, for some reason, now, like, all these AAA developers are just like, hey, let's talk about, like, 16th to 18th century Japan. And I'm like, you have my attention, sir or ma'am. So no, all three of those, like, Ghost of Tsushima, Neo 2, and
Sekiro.
Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. All three of those, I'm like, oh.
And then Sony had their panel in which they brought Master Flute or
Oh, the Shakuhachi dude?
Yes.
He got so much flack that he didn't deserve because he actually is a student under the biggest dude in Japan who plays that instrument.
Yeah,
That's stupid.
I thought it was really cool. But
It was good. That instrument sucks to play. I've tried.
I thought it looked like it was really hard to play, so I'm like, wow, he was a big trainer, so we actually be able to do that.
E3 was surprisingly musical this year.
Well, of course you guys. Most anticipated.
They got
Shadow of the
everyone
Tomb
up
Raider,
to
I
the
think,
song.
will be really good because this time it's similar to the reboot and Rise, but also Lara's not a hero anymore.
Sure.
So it's looking interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm really looking forward to anything. That's
How
kind of-
dare you? You call yourself a gamer?
I do play games, but I just played one game over and over again.
Don't you want to play Fortnite too?
No, I guess Last of Us 2, it does look, man, that animation is some top quality stuff. It's so natural. We'll see how it is as I spam, L1 over and over again. That's what something to see, but I guess.
I'm really sad it was immediately banned in the United Arab Emirates and the surrounding.
I didn't know that.
No, that trailer kiss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the actual reason why?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I was about to do a video on it, and I'm like, I don't want to get into this territory.
Of all the things, it's that?
Yes. You'd be surprised.
In some regional.
So, but yeah, cool. What's up?
Okay. If you could have a dream game exist, so if you could have any game, whether it be like an original thing that you have in your head or another game in a series that probably won't happen but you want to happen, what would it be?
You guys go first. I have to think on that one.
I want microtransactions. I want to pay to look cool. That's about it. No. But I think, again, back to Metal Gear Solid being my favorite game, it's just a dream game for me would be just something where it's kind of open world. I guess Metal Gear Solid 5. Anyway, it's just so much stupid amounts of detail. That's what I love. Because I feel like a lot of games, they were very linear for a bit, and once you play through them once, you're done. And then when you have a closed or open world game, it almost felt like it could be heartless. Some games are really good at making sure that doesn't happen, but I still feel that time to time. But yeah, just open world, not too big, but just so much detail. What do you do?
I love games that break your expectations and then have a good narrative. So if I were making my own game, or if I had the ability to help someone out, I would probably go with something that would all the time break your expectations. Like you're climbing up a snowy mountain and the other side you see, I don't know, dunes, sand, things like that. I think Kojima did a really good job with what would be Silent Hills and PT, and Silent Hills for me would be the ideal game, but it's Konami's.
You know what I would love? I know that this is a callback to some old grumps back in the day, but it was no less true. I want an open world Kirby. Because one of the things that, and I agree with Aaron on this, the backgrounds of so many Kirby games are so stunningly beautiful, you want to go explore them. God, I don't know how to explain it. They feel kind of flower, if you know what I mean, in that kind of light.
Yeah.
Where it's familiar yet so alien, but also so beautiful. Like I think the Kirby games have some of the most fascinating, beautiful backgrounds of almost any game, simply because of that aesthetic. So it's like if you could go back there, like and explore it. But I don't know how you would put Kirby in the third dimension, like. I just don't.
I really did enjoy the Outlaw Blast, though. That is really fun, except for that special stage that makes you do all 5 in a row.
Yeah.
I just got one more quick question. What do you think about Hunt Down the Freeman?
What?
What do
Hunt
you
Down
think
the
about
Freeman.
Hunt Down the Freeman?
I still can't hear this.
Hunt down.
Hunt down the Freeman.
Freeman.
Oh, Hunt Down the Freeman.
Oh, is it
That Steam game that had Keemstar as the president of the United States.
Funny thing about that. I was actually, well, maybe I should bring this up. Oh well. I was invited to be a part of the animation team on that when I did Source Filmmaker stuff. I guess I'm glad I didn't. But that's, I mean, it was a.
To be fair, the Source Filmmaker
It was.
trying to talk
It's
about
a
that
very
game.
interesting concept because you don't really see the perspective, not only of the whole Black Mesa incident, but of just like the bad guys in general. Like those are games that always tickle me, where you're like the minion going after the hero, simply for the sake of doing it, because that's video game logic. But I don't know. I didn't play it. I didn't hear good things about it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear good things at all, but I never played it either. But I also, at the same time, it is free, right? Or no?
$20.
It's
It was
25.
25 Canadian, and then changed to 20. And they said that they fixed it.
Boy, it's the club all over again.
Yeah, no.
There are also like several parts in the game that are literally just there to extend it over 4 hours, so you can't Steam refund it. Like I watched somebody like streaming it. There are literally segments where you climb a pole for like 20 minutes, and then after you climb that, there's another pole which you climb for 20 minutes, and nothing happens. There's no scenery. There's no one like shooting at you. Literally nothing happens. It's just there to extend it over 4 hours.
So it's like the Metal Gear ladder, but for no reason.
Yeah.
The worst part is that
Well, the reason is they don't want you to refund it. They want it to take your money.
For not a good reason, then I'll
Yeah.
put it that way.
I mean, technically, you could still refund it because I think they have like the what was it?
Yeah,
It was the-
special
Yeah,
location.
but
That's awful.
There were also some parts that were unbeatable because you had to cheat in order to get over certain obstacles.
See, that's the thing. That sounds like something that could have been good. That was just cash hype.
Yeah, it had a lot of ambition, but there were a lot of segments that really felt kind of cynical. Again, there's just so many parts that seemed sort of like extended because they didn't actually want to make a game. They wanted to just make a quick cash grab.
They wanted
And
to keep
that's why-
starting to be the president.
Yeah,
Metal
and,
Gear
and that's
5.
why they hired all these YouTubers, because it's like, oh, we can get away with not paying YouTubers because they're technically not like professional voice actors.
I will say again, like, when they reached out to me to help out, they did offer payment. They were super nice.
Yeah, but like they said that about the like I heard like from I Hate Everything and also I think Pyrocynical. They said they were offered payment and they still haven't been paid. So
Did they help out? No.
yeah, no, but I Hate Everything voiced like an Asian character even though he sounds nothing like an Asian.
This is
voiced
Yeah,
an
no,
Asian
his
American.
character is like clearly Asian. He has like the most Chinese, like the most like nearly racist Chinese face that you can get in Source. It's like the most white, most Asian character I think I've ever seen in Source, and it's voiced by a guy with an English accent.
Wow. I would say that it's being technical. I would say it's kind of on them for not getting a contract. If you're not contracted
Yeah,
for your work,
some people did say that like they regret not making a contract. I think in particular when I Hate Everything made a video about it,
Yeah.
he was like he said several times like I had a gut feeling I should have had them write me a contract or something.
always
Yeah.
get a contract for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But just overall, with all the stories around it, it feels like at its core there was like a good idea. I think probably the main like person who woke up one day and said like I want to tell a story about Black Mesa. I think at his core he probably had like a good idea. He didn't start out thinking, oh, I want to scam a bunch of people on Steam
Yeah.
who want Half-Life 3. But there were definitely a lot of people in that group who they saw the main person's ambition and they were like, no, I want to jump on this not for the creativity but for the money.
Yeah, I got you. Hunt the Freeman Q&A. Was it a bad game? Yes. So thank you for your question.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was sitting down, sorry.
Yo, what's up?
I have one big question and just two small questions. If I could just speed that up a bit, that'd be good. But what makes a gamer truly like a gamer? Like
That is a super loaded question.
yeah, kind of.
Because there's
like
I joked about it before the panel started, but I believe the term gamer just holds no weight. Because everyone could technically be one, because trying to classify who is a gamer is like trying to say what is a game. I mean, especially if you look at the mobile market right now, it's like anything can be a game. A walking simulator is technically a game where you just go experience a story while holding W. I mean, so it's really hard to answer that question. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's really up to interpretation, but I think it's when you're very like involved in like at least somewhat about gaming culture. But that would kind of make you a gaming like aficionado or something.
Sure. I mean, it's like I feel like that it's also like, you know, what is a reader?
Yeah.
You know, everyone at one point in time read a book.
Yeah.
And hopefully enjoyed it. So it's kind of a hard definition.
But like I went fishing with my dad as a kid, but I wouldn't consider myself a fisherman, so I guess
Go for it.
Yeah.
I feel like the gamer term isn't like an actual thing. Like as long as you're enjoying a game, you're a gamer.
Yeah, that's why I feel that's how I feel like it's kind of loaded.
But like, how would you put like sports in that? Because sports were originally what games were as well.
Yeah.
So that's
There's sporters. They're
When we say gamer, we mean like video games. It's different. And it's like, it's also like, you know, there's people who like sports video games. You wouldn't call them like into sports. You'd say they're into sports video games.
Yeah.
Of course, usually people who are into sports video games are into actual sports.
Yeah, but there's a lot of sports fans that I know and a lot of people know that don't play sports and pretty much just watch sports on TV. So, but yeah.
I think it's about the passion you have, honestly. If you have 2 hours a week to play games or to watch games, fine.
Rather than
if you do it full
being
time,
that
fine.
grandma that downloaded Candy Crush once and played it once.
Yeah, like I don't know, like I would consider like even if you're playing, you know, Angry Birds 2 on your iPad Pro, you know, that's like if you're rocking that every day.
Oh yeah.
By all means, like
Yeah.
you're a gamer, right? But it's just like it could just be anything. It could be super casual
That makes
stuff, too.
sense.
Doesn't have
That
to be.
makes sense. It's different if you play it once and put it away and never touch it again, leave it in a drawer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wouldn't worry about having the label as a gamer.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that I think the original concept of being a gamer came out of distinguishing oneself away from the negative stereotype that came with it about 20 years ago. But now that it is so mainstream, now that everyone can be it, it just doesn't hold a lot of weight.
Yeah, and I also hate the whole casual, hardcore.
Yeah, it's there's
Girls
these
can't be
shows.
gamers. They only make up like nearly
There's
half
a middle
of the market.
ground for that.
Yeah, I think there's like groups in like every single.
I think it should be boiled down to like I'm a MOBA-er, or I'm a JRPG-er, or something along those lines.
Yeah, but what if you don't like the right JRPG though? Then that's a problem. But I mean, I'm not just saying. I mean, there's always like feuds between like the sub-genres, and like you'll never escape.
Oh yeah, like if there's like 4 or 5 different kinds of FPS players now.
Yeah. So it's just like
Yeah, the only FPSs I'm really into are kind of the ones that are more single-player focused, like Doom or Wolfenstein and stuff like that, rather than like Fallout or
Because it's
Skyrim.
like first-person shooter is such a big genre. It's like you define the genre by it's in the first person and you have a gun. That's literally what it means. It's first person and you're shooting a gun. It's the same as if you classified Metal Gear as like a stealth game. If you classified like there's like Metal Gear, there's like Mark the Ninja, there's like Invisible Ink is a pretty good indie game that I played. They're all like stealth games, but they play completely differently. Yeah, you still have like stealth mechanics. But it's like people can say like Friday the 13th is even like a stealth game because you have to hide from Jason Voorhees.
Oh, the one I was about to say.
The NES one.
Or South Park on the N64 where he throws snowballs at turkeys. That's an FPS, I guess.
It's in the first person and then you're shooting things. So it's like, it's just such a broad genre. It's the same as like, I'm trying to think of like the best analogy that I can think of. Like,
Well, it's okay. We probably need to keep going on with questions.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to quick question 2. Is there any gaming moment that made you tear up or cry? Because that would be the ending of Xenoblade Chronicles for me, purely on the music alone.
No spoilers.
I mean, the answer
No,
is yes,
I'm
but
not spoiling. I'm not spoiling it. Yeah.
You know, honestly, I know this is going to sound really stupid and very but I was legitimately moved to happy tears after the good ending of Undertale. Like, that to the point, that was a game that moved me to a point where everyone was like, okay, now do the genocide ending. I'm like, no. I refuse. Because the character setup, the story setup was so simple yet so well written that I was emotionally compelled to leave the happy ending where it was, and I have not touched that game since. Now, there's no replayability with that game because of that now, I feel like, from my personal perspective. It's like, yeah, there is, because there are all different kinds of endings, there are all different interpretations, everyone says different things based on different things that happen. But I'm a more emotional person, and because they tugged my heartstrings in just the right way, the music hit me in just the right way, I can't bring myself to do it. So, in terms of more modern games, that's the thing.
A lot of RPGs do that to me, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
The Last of Us, I think, The Last of Us, I think, makes you think a lot about everything that happened. Even, days and weeks after you beat it. Life is Strange, the final moment is really touching, so you gotta play it.
I know, I need to. I hear it's only like, 2 hours or something like that?
No, way more than that, like 12 hours.
What is Detroit Become Human all about?
It's David Cage.
I'm not going to say any spoilers. I recently finished it. It's really up there. Despite how horrible the person David Cage is, it is one of his best games. Look up him in the news lately. I guess to answer the question though, too, again, I got super emotional at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3. Bring that up every single question.
I think maybe you should make a video on it.
I think everyone's also still trying to figure out what Hideo Kojima's game is, that one with the baby. What was that?
Stranding.
It's a
Stranding. Every year I wait at Easter. What is this? I think that's everyone.
It's gonna hurt.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a survival game. I have a feeling the reason why he's carrying 20 suitcases around with inventory, it's like a menu. But what was it? The other game that also made me emotional was Heavy Rain. More so than Detroit. Detroit got me thinking. But Heavy Rain, I don't even have a son or anything, but like I was like, oh man, those scenes though. And then also Undertale, the modern one. But I was the opposite of guys. I went straight to the genocide.
Oh no! How dare!
I was like, all right, well that's kind of cool.
How did you feel as you actively searched out things to murder?
I was like, I feel a little bad, but
that game can very much define what your personality is. Like based on how you played that game, you can know what kind of person is. Now, I'm not saying you're a psychopathic killer or anything like that, unless. But no, like I felt like Undertale was a game that could like define your character as a person.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Okay, quick question. Number 3, the last one, just so I can move the line up and everything. And I had 2 quick questions in my head, and I was like, oh, this one's even better, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
Oh no. You can come back if you need to.
Yeah, you can come back. It's not like there's a huge line or anything.
Okay, sure.
It's mostly
Just take some time.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, gentlemen. Just one really quick question. I believe you guys are all non-Canadians, right?
No. Eddie is.
I am.
Oh, you're Canadian?
Yeah.
Oh, have you been? Oh well. for those out of the country, have you been enjoying ConBravo, and have you been enjoying Canada so far? Yeah.
Well, I live in Hamilton. I'm
Oh.
from Brazil, but I've been here for 6 years.
Oh,
well, that's
okay.
great. So let's see.
This is my second time here, and no, it's fine. Everyone always asks me, "What's Canada like? What's Canada like?" I'm like, it's like a more polite United States with better money.
Yeah, no,
It is. I mean, they should probably speak.
No, every time when I go to America, I hate the money. I hate the people. Okay, I don't hate the people. Okay, like I hate.
No, let me clarify this. As an American, I can say this. The one way you can tell a red-blooded American, despite like nationality or whatever, waste their time. Seriously, waste their time. If their response is like super anger and super impatience, they are American.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
It's true.
It's like you could do anything else to all these different groups of people, but like it doesn't matter from like what ethnicity you come from. If you waste an American's time, that is their key defining feature is impatience.
Yeah, no,
It's because like Western culture as a whole is just based so much around time.
I don't know, because y'all here are very patient.
Yeah, no,
even like the whole like American dream is based on spending as much time doing things that you like.
Yeah.
So it's like if you spend time doing something you don't like, which is having your time wasted.
Yeah,
but I mean, just the active part of waiting.
What about the long working hours in Japan? Like, how do they deal or cope with that? Like, the way they sleep.
Because
in the office,
they suffer. That's why they're undergoing reform right now.
Oh,
yeah, that too.
Well, anyway, off of that, I just wanted to. I've been noticing that as games get more larger and more involved, basically, it's literally becoming, oh, it's open world. No, it's just a world. Are you guys? I don't know. Do you guys feel the pressure now with just trying to review something that big? Every couple of years. I mean, how do you guys manage that, and how do you stay with it and keep interest up?
I personally just keep interest if it is interesting. I used to be a person who complete a game no matter what, but because I'm more busy right now, if it's honestly just not fun, if I'm not enjoying it, I'm just gonna drop it. Like, there was a Final Fantasy I heard. It's like, yeah, it gets fun 15 hours in.
13.
Yeah. I was like, no,
it needs to be good now.
Yeah, no, I don't have time for that. I want to have fun now.
Yeah.
So.
Especially when you're an adult working. Like, no, there is no 13-hour wait period for it to get good. It gets pushed aside because there are dozens of other games that deserve equal attention. I have a personal hatred of 13. I apologize to anyone who is much to the contrary, but anyway. Like for us, just simply because we don't have a lot of time. Like this kind of got brought up in our panel talking about YouTuber burnout, but it's like we're gonna do and talk about the things that interest us because we're tired of the algorithm. The algorithm just needs to go die.
I started on YouTube to talk about things I'm passionate about, and the day that it becomes a regular day job, it's better to have a regular day job. So I always play games that I really want to play. Of course, that I take what I do seriously. So if I start a Let's Play and I'm getting bored, I'll try to keep going, but it's the nature of the job. But in the end, I opt to play a game because I really want to play it, not because people want to watch it or people are interested in it.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Hi guys. I got two questions, but before that, Eddie, the video that you put up, before ConBravo, I got you and your guys singing Sonic Heroes very poorly stuck in my head now. God damn it!
I'm stuttering too. Like, do we keep going? I don't know. Well, it's been, I don't know, how long did that game come out? 2005? Something like that. That was the last time I played. That's pretty good.
But now the song is stuck in my head. It's not even like the perfect one. It's just you and your guys just singing at 3 a.m. in the
Crush
morning.
40 is one of the best butt rock bands you can get out
Hey,
there.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's you singing very poorly. That's creative in the morning. That video.
Applause.
Oh my god. No,
No,
I
and
mean,
your freaking edits alongside it. Oh my god. Oh, it's amazing.
yeah, no, it just, yeah, I feel
But
like
it's like, I can't even remember half the words. So, anyways. First question. How do you think your personality kind of changes when you have like friends joining in on your gaming streams or anything like that?
Absolutely. Like, when it comes to my content or my streams, it's usually pretty on the down low and like calm, try to be funny, but not get really sweary. I get with this Yahoo and Geek and all of them, and it's just like, I turn into a different person.
like, I don't even, well, like, it's tricky because it's like, I personally feel like I don't change per se. Like, you never really hear me scream very much at all. It's
No.
everyone else around me. I guess
No, it's just really interesting because it's like it's a human social behavior to adapt certain aspects of the other people you're around in order to be inclusive. Like the one thing that I've always thought was really interesting is like if there's a girl that I date, if there's a girl that I go date or whatever, I start to get their attributes integrated into my own completely subconsciously. So it's like I think what happens is that you just kind of get a feel of what the atmosphere is like when it comes to the other group of people, and then almost without thinking, you try to emulate it just a little bit. I don't know. What do you
I
say?
feel like you get in a different mindset when you have friends around and you're having fun, and then you start talking louder. So yeah, sometimes people will perceive you as doing something different, when in reality, when you're around people, you act a little bit differently, but still according to your own personality. That's what I think.
Yeah, like I feel like it's with the whole YouTube and streaming, I feel like there's no real difference from like my real life friends of how like different that I act. It's just a matter of, you know, just having a good time and it'll show. So
Also, second question. Sorry for like deviating somewhat from gaming, but I guess it could be related. So like, you know, all the monsters and stuff that have been like inspired by like actual folklore. How do you think those folklore stories started?
You know, truth be told, I think a lot of it has to do with just seeing something in the dark while either being tired, drunk, a combination of that, something like that. Because, like, to go off kind of on a tangent, there's a Japanese yokai monster that has a human face in a dog's body, and the theory is that particular monster came from someone who saw one of Japan's like smaller tailless monkeys, like in the dark, and I was like, oh, it's a monster. Sometimes it can come from just ancient stories that just were cool, so people just started believing in it, for lack of a better way to put it. But no, having come across one of those monkeys just at random, that was scary. Because I thought it was a dog. I thought it was just this tiny little white Shiba Inu or something, and then all of a sudden it just jumps on the roof and just starts doing like brachiating swings across. And I'm like, all right. That's right, this is Japan, not the States, all right. It's also trippy seeing it's trippy seeing a raccoon trash panda in a zoo.
Oh.
That was weird. That was like there was a zoo where close to where I used to live overseas, and like their big showcase was, this is an American raccoon. I'm like, cool. Feed it trash and don't get bit. So that's just my thought on that whole thing. Yeah, it makes stupidly drinking while being exhausted, walking around in a countryside where you have lots of weird wild animals creates some of the best monsters ever.
Okay, well it's just that question kind of popped up because my dad's big in like UFO stuff.
Sure.
And there was this one ancient Japanese story that actually had like a woman in red come out of the water on this thing. So it was like that's so odd.
It's just aliens.
Yeah, it's just aliens.
Kind of reminds me of a albino raccoon I saw once while camping with my dad and such, my brothers. It was blonde and had blue eyes.
Wow.
It was so weird.
Who's cranking the anime
Somebody's
music?
calling me.
Oh, okay.
I think, yeah, it's
Someone
outside
out in the
some
hallway, I
fans
think, is
watching
dancing.
anime.
weird. All right, well, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
What up, my dude?
Alright, so I'm here. Since we already were on the monster subject, this was kind of just a thought question specific to Gaijin, because it's a game I've been playing recently quite a lot. I really love it. I don't know if anyone's heard about it, Dead by Daylight.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because you know they have all the horror monsters, famous characters. They have Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers. Even now they included Saw, which was kind of strange.
Yeah.
But just a quick sort of comment, just so maybe a video idea or something. I would really like, because there's two killers in particular, one from Russia, the Huntress Anna. In particular now, they gave her a lot of new cosmetic items, because they have a new cosmetic update. In particular, there's one crazy outfit where she puts like a bear head on her head or something, and she wears this vest that's all covered with various bits of Russian memorabilia. I believe it's called something like Mother Bear in Russian. And there's that, and there's also the Wraith. The Wraith has a lot of interesting references to African American culture, because his character, Philip Ajoma, he's of African American descent, and a lot of his upgrades, a lot of his cosmetics have references to that. So, I mean, it's kind of weird not going up straight to the person, like sort of requesting a video like that, but I don't know. It's something that maybe even I personally like look into myself, just on my own time, but it's something just really interesting I wanted to comment on.
Well, the interesting thing about those kinds of interpretations as inspirations is that every single, you can have one monster and have like 12 different interpretations. This is one of the reasons why I have a love-hate relationship when it comes to Norse mythology, because depending on who you ask, different stories have different characters, different outcomes, different appearances, so it can get really wacky. Like the video I did on the Otogaron from Monster Hunter like a month ago at this point, I left out about 5 different retellings of what the Kame Itachi actually is, because I just went for the more mainstream one that people could be more familiar with. But no, it's like when it comes to using monsters from folklore, you can have so many interpretations of it. That's one of the reasons why after the culture shock that I have going up today goes out, the next one I want to do is talking about Fallout 76 and all of the different Virginian monsters, because there's a lot. So
I just wanted to bring that up because I feel that there's a lot of interesting things that you can see, not only just of more mainstream culture, but also more obscure culture, and it's very interesting to see that through. Behavior Entertainment, they're based in Canada. I believe they're somewhere in Quebec or something. But yeah, Montreal. So it's interesting to see both pieces of like more mainstream culture of those environments and also more like obscure bits, and seeing them through like a Canadian Western lens and how they're interpreted for, you know, an environment where you have Laurie Strode being chased around by Freddy Krueger. So that's that, and then I have a more sort of like broad, like general specific question. I also have a kind of a specific question for Abby, but it's about Hearthstone, so I'm gonna skip that for like the very end. But just in general, Overwatch now they have a hamster. So I know you guys all mentioned that you played Overwatch. I've seen Gaijin, you did your big culture video about Overwatch, all the references of that. But I'm just wondering, where do you guys think, in terms of world building, they can go after saying, okay, in our universe, there are intelligent hamsters who can build mechs? Like, where do you think they can go from that? Because they mentioned, like, a long time ago that, oh, you know, we wanted to make a cat with a jetpack, but we felt that was too extreme. And then, like, 3 months later, they released a hamster in a giant walking mech. So
I think the popularity of MOBAs having interesting character designs rather than having a cohesive story is kind of bleeding into Overwatch, maybe a little bit. Like, the story of Hammond was actually not bad. I thought it was going to actually be terrible. I thought it was just going to be random, but...
Yeah, well, even like before he was a hamster, it's like, okay, he's from the same place as Winston.
Yeah.
Well, why do we care, sort of thing. But like, oh, he's a hamster, so he's small. So I guess that's it.
No,
But
he's a giant mech that's about the same size.
Right, but it's like, I think it's coming to a point, like, this is the one thing that disappoints me about Overwatch, is that it developed a wonderful world, a wonderful, cohesive, futuristic world, that actually asks a lot of very humanistic questions, and they don't do a thing with it. The idea of artificial intelligence becoming sentient, the integration of them into human society, these are massive things that need to be explored, and like Detroit did that pretty dang well. Overwatch has done nothing with it.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why out of all the events, the one event I'm always the most excited for is when they are not related to story. Because there's so much about the universe. And it's weird because when you think about it, it's Blizzard. Blizzard, they made StarCraft, they made Warcraft. It's like, how can you have those games and then you have this game with this massive universe and it's like, what are we doing now?
You can tell that it was an MMO first.
Yeah.
Because the story is good and the world building is good, but after that went under and they're like, let's make it a FPS MOBA-ish. MOBA-like. And that's where I feel like it kind of started declining. Because I mean, when you look at some of the characters, look at like the concept of look at Widowmaker's her introduction, like character introduction. You have you have a post-Crisis world. You have the integration of Omnics. You see humans and Omnics in relationships, which I thought was kind of bold, to be completely honest. You have the assassin. You have a terrorist organization, an assassination of a religious leader. Zenyatta and the concept of the iris fascinates me to no end, and they do nothing with it. In fact, I had a video that I was going to do on him, his relation to Tibetan Buddhism as well as kind of off-branch Chinese Buddhism. And I don't know if I'm ever going to make it because it's like Blizzard doesn't care about its own game world. They care. They went all in. Like once Overwatch got big, they went all in when it came to pro gameplay. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But it's like, I can't help but feel a little bitter that they had this fantastic game world that they're not doing anything really with.
They just have it as a plot point in their character trailers.
I mean, you guys are far more experienced with Overwatch than I am, so please.
I played a lot of Overwatch, but I never really got into the lore, and I always thought they would come up with an animated movie, and they didn't, so I'm not sure if that's coming up.
Yeah.
What I feel like is that they used a lot of things they had for Project Titan, and now they're running out of elements. That's pretty much what you said. So.
To play devil's advocate, though, there's a lot of characters in Overwatch. That's a lot of personal stories. That would making an animated short.
I'm not asking for personal stories. Like again, they had a bit now with the latest story event. They introduced. They talked about this mission at Blackwatch, which was sort of like the start of the downfall of Overwatch. That's really interesting. I'm not asking for why Moira got into science or why Reaper decided to be a shotgun guy. I'm asking why did they turn from what happened that turned Reaper from special operatives of Overwatch, what turned him down this darker road into that, and the people who are around him who maybe could have tried to stop it but didn't, or they tried to stop it but it wasn't enough. And there's even theories that I read where it's people say it's Moira was actually trying to trick Reyes or whatever. That's interesting. I'm not asking for specifically every single detail about Reaper's life. I'm asking this is a key moment in his life that really changed him and changed everyone around him at that moment. And those are events that are interesting. So I'm not asking what was Widowmaker doing in high school, who was her high school crush or something like that. No, I'm asking what turned her, what was her first feelings when she realized what she had. Did she even have feelings? It's something like that.
Yeah.
That's a broader question.
I have a feeling that they're kind of just saving possibly all those key points just for later dates, because I hope, because they do seem to be really focusing on bringing every 3 months or every 4 months there's a new hero, and in between that there's a new map. And that sounds kind of bad, but then it's well, you pay the one price, you never have to do DLC.
Well, the good thing is that the PvE events are actually really popular. I'm very sad that they don't make those regular stories. Yeah, the story missions could function as the key moments in different characters.
Yeah.
So I honestly wish they would make that regular, Junkenstein, and then the two, the Retribution, and then the
Blackwatch.
I wish they would just keep them there to play.
I think with Overwatch, Blizzard is trying to come up with something so perfect that it's afraid to push content.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of Ubisoft that releases a bunch of games that are all broken, and you do have good moments in them, but Blizzard wants everything perfect with Overwatch.
It's like it has to. It's like it has to be both competitive and a good story. It's like you can't have that. You cannot have that.
It's too hard to push for everything. You try to do everything, you end up doing nothing well. Really quickly, just a quick question for Eddie, because Hearthstone stuff, new expansion coming out Doomsday. Out of all the cards revealed, what's like the most? Okay, let's do it like this. Let's say, what's the legendary you're the most excited for? Because those are the big sort of game-changing cards. And what's just the regular sort of everyday card that you're the most excited for?
Legendary card, I'm excited. Oh, I think it's called the Dropship.
The warrior one that summons 3 minions of Rush.
Yes. I have a recruit warrior deck that will only complement it.
That's great.
Really excited for that. The animation looks phenomenal for that. For the regular card, the deck that I enjoy the most is my Thief Rogue. It's the 4 mana, get 10
cards that cost 1.
Yeah, that
seems like a miracle.
It is very much a miracle. It does slow down your deck, obviously. That's a lot of cards.
Yeah. That's why when I thought, like, I saw it, I was talking to someone, and they were like, they really like Thief Rogue as well. So they were like, oh yeah, I want to run this in my Thief Rogue with Test Granite. And I was like, no, I think this is more of a miracle thing, because you got like 10 cards that all cost 1 mana. You draw a 1 mana card in the late game, what do you do? Yeah, sure, it might be like a 1 mana Tyrion Fortring or something, but it's still a 1 mana play, and it's still just 1 card.
We only have 15 minutes left, so we're gonna have to limit it to 1 question per person now. So apologies, guys.
I can just skip my other questions.
I have one.
Yes.
Quick question. Sorry.
I have a lot of questions. I'll skip them.
So, I just want to know what's your, I guess, favorite scary moment or like enemy or level in video games?
Clock Tower 2.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I was a kid. It looks dumb now. It looks super dumb now on PlayStation 1 polygons, but when I was young, oh no, stop, please. Because it's like when you're young and you've never been exposed to massive violence, like anything can be traumatizing. But I will never forget the day I started playing that with some friends over at their house, and as soon as Scissorman hit the scene, I'm like, no, because I mean that was the first game I ever played where you were helpless, like you had nothing to defend yourself, not really with. So that just immediately sticks out.
For me, quickly, I think the Resident Evil games were really good. I would say 1, 2, and 3. 1 with the zombie turn, the very first zombie you see, when I was like 7 or whatever. Horrible. Resident Evil 2, you open the door, you see the door animation 500 times, and at the one time there's zombies, I was like, nope. And then with 3, I remember, it's not even that scary of a moment, but I just remember it was just pure silence. You're running down this alleyway, and the camera angle changes, and then you just see Nemesis just at the very end, just slowly walking towards you. Just those subtle moments like that just always get me so hard. The jump scares, I don't jump, but it's nothing like that, like silent fear that it kind of did.
Just don't turn into a chill sandwich.
I think recently Outlast 2 and Resident Evil 7 were really good, really scary. But recently I played for the first time Resident Evil 3, because as a kid I was afraid of it. I played 1 and 2, but I was too afraid for 3. And even recently, as a first experience, really good.
Yeah, no, it's did pretty well the first time. And considering that was like a rushed product too, I think there was something like back in the day. But no, Resident Evil's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like 5 wasn't scary, but
3 is pretty scary for I'm 32, I'm scared of it.
No, honestly, something that, like, this is gonna sound weird, but I want to classify Subnautica as a horror game to an extent. Because it's like, I've been recently replaying that, I've been watching my wife stream it, and it's like, I find myself not wanting to ever go down past 200 meters, because that's where the horrible things are, and you're just always on edge, even though it's like, okay, I know what creatures are in this biome, I know what they're capable of doing to me, I know how to defend against it. It's dark, you hear sounds, alien sounds all the time, you are probably either in your prawn suit or you're in your sea moth, and you don't have any weapons. You have your stasis gun and a knife. Woo. But honestly, it's the subtle nuances of horror that really makes it stick out. Like no one remember. I challenge anyone to remember a joke scare. Like
I love Five Nights at Freddy's. Love it on my iPad. Anyway, also Silent Hill is another great series.
Silent Hill's good.
1, 2, actually 4 is my favorite, but anyway, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think again that subtle spookiness.
Yeah.
So
I just find it interesting because I don't usually play horror games, and the first thing that comes to mind for me is ahead of time. So
Yeah, no, I can see it. No, the sections where you're running from what's her shadow.
like the Queen.
Yeah, no, that's legitimately terrifying
Yeah.
because it's the sensation of how close are they getting, and then when everything starts to warp and change and you hear and it's like so no, that's the one thing about Hat in Time that I loved but kind of was a little sad at is consistency. But for as inconsistent as it was, every aspect that it tried to pull off did it really well. So, cool, appreciate it.
So I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter lately. I've started with World and I've been blazing through 4 Ultimate and Try and stuff. But I'm starting to run out, and I was wondering if any of you knew like other games that might be able to get that sort of theme.
Honestly, I pimp this game a lot. Tokiden. Tokiden is basically Monster Hunter if it was only set in Japan and if it was basically a little bit more like the Warriors series, like Samurai Warriors, or oh my god, what is the other?
Dynasty Warriors?
Thank you. Because I keep thinking the Japanese name, it's Tales of the Three Kingdoms Warriors. But yeah, like the Muso games. If you took the beat 'em up style of the Muso games and put them in a Monster Hunter and then it said exclusively in Japan, that's basically what you get. And I think it works. It's much more casual because there's no inventory, there's only abilities. But that's a good secondary to like Monster Hunter. What else? Mercenary Kings. That is a Monster Hunter like no one believes me when I say that, but it's basically if you took Contra and mixed it with Monster Hunter. So what do you guys think?
I don't know. Sorry.
God Eater. God Eater is another Monster Hunter that's alright. I know there's a couple other, but a lot of them are either Japan exclusive or they're really meat-tastic, for lack of a better way to put it.
I'll like follow with a lot of those.
Yeah, I would say look up Tokiden, look up God Eater.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, what's up?
My final question is drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da. What do you think about the gaming medium to play a game on, like discs, cartridges, in a rank from lowest to highest? The lowest being like Steam games, like stuff that's locked, like you don't really own it. Like, what do you think about that? Like the future, the future of games, like as a gaming as a medium. Like, I really applaud with Nintendo having the cartridges for the Switch and everything.
I'm an advocate of both. Physical's really nice, so like, if I buy it, I can sell it.
Yeah,
I do think Steam has
the added functionality. But they could also remove it at any point. But then you can get refunds now. Because I remember people were really upset about that.
Only after a certain hour period.
Yeah, but
even if there's a huge amount of complaints.
Yeah, I feel like that's still acceptable because at the end of the day,
I remember the whole Arkham City thing, the Batman.
It would be. I think it's easier to get a Steam refund than it would be to go to like EB Games or GameStop or something like that. Honestly, because they'll fight you tooth and nail for it.
Because it's tricky. Because it's physical, it's great. You can lend it to your friends and all that.
Yeah.
But the convenience of digital, though, is I could just not leave my house at all. It's just there. I don't have to hit the eject button. And sometimes it's
So I do like
great.
discs better than Steam, but I do like downloads better than discs. But then cartridges are my favorite.
I would be in the category if cartridges could fit more data into them. I would say cartridges simply because they're the most durable thing. I would say the modern interpretation of a cartridge would be like a
SD card.
SD card, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
So I like the direction that Nintendo's going because CDs are very brittle. One scratch and it could just destroy the whole game.
Yep.
So
I'd be more concerned, honestly, about the fact that some companies want to push streaming.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
The input lag with that is
You know what?
horrible.
That's even worse than Steam,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I don't know.
Well, we got 5 minutes left, so let's go ahead and grab the last question.
All right. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, then. What do you think of games as a service? Like the term games as a service?
Like, sorry.
Can you give kind of an example? Like,
So,
The monetization.
what Ubisoft's trying to do, another example is like how Final Fantasy 15 kind of dealt with all its DLC, building more onto the game afterwards. Kind of like that.
I see.
So like Overwatch, if they made you pay every time they updated the game, or
Yes.
Just in general. Like,
Yeah. It's like single player games.
Like NBA 2K, how they did with the character development system. I don't play the game, but I heard that you gotta pretty much pay a lot of money so your character gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's the companies thinking a lot about the money and not a lot about what they thought when they started, with gaming. I always try to go back to the days when I played games just for fun, when it was not, my job. And I try to have that passion, and I feel like some companies, they are like Konami, they don't think anymore about their fans and about the passion they have for games because they lost that. So what is left is money.
Yeah.
You did like Super Bomberman R though.
that was a clever. Well, it was a clever but also not so subtle way. Because for me, Bomberman R, when Konami was like, hey, now you can be Pyramid Head, etc., etc. I'm like, all you're doing is reminding me of your better days, Konami. Don't do this. Just make it. Look, you prove that you can still make good games with Bomberman R. Just make good games. You have all these properties to make that happen, and you're just vilifying yourself in our eyes with that. But here's the thing. And a lot of people have given me crap for this, but I 100% agree with Dan and the Extra Credits team that a $60 price point for a game is not really a good price point anymore because we are constantly saying we want better graphics, we want better story, we want better, and we're not willing to pay for it. I mean, that's just the unfortunate truth of it. It's like, when they try to shove down our throats cheap plastic add-ons to make it a $100 bundle or a $120 bundle, I can't rightly blame the industry because it's like, we're still asking for the same price point that's been around for like 10 years.
Yeah, want more for less.
Right, and it's like
$60 here anymore.
I mean, it's not even you have inflation, but more along the lines of you have a larger problem with tech.
You have more people developing a single game now.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Like it's movie quality now.
Yeah, it takes like what, 3-4 years for like a proper game.
Of at least 20 people.
Yeah, because like that's why like Call of Duty they have like 3 developers, right? Because they're just like, all right, we're gonna get a game here out or a game. But I think personally, like paid services, in-game stuff, I think it's okay if it's a game that's like supposed to be around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like Warcraft, Hearthstone, I know they're a struggling company that need my money, but it's also like something. Garfield go-kart, I'm not going to spend the $3 to unlock John, right? I'm like, listen here,
That's a thing?
Yeah, apparently it's not allowed.
No, you have to spend $3 to unlock John? I was like, what?
No. Apparently it's not bad. I just thought the first game that I don't play. But yeah, no, I think when it comes to longevity, I think it's okay. But when it's something like what EA usually does, like they're going to make another game next year, and then it's just that was kind of just good for 1 year, right?
Very
so.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up because I know the Cuphead people want to jump in. So thank you for coming out, guys.
Thank you very much.
We got signings. Do you have the same signing?
Yeah.
Okay, so where is that? What? These alien words
It's around 3 o'clock somewhere.
Third floor, the B.
There we go.
So beside the main stage.
What's a
Yes.
Toad?
3rd floor.
Oh, okay, sorry. I don't know!
It's a macho.
Anyway, alright, I gotta get lunch. Thank you guys.
Thank you.